You pick up your phone to check one thing, a message, the weather, maybe the time. Your thumb moves once, then again a funny clip, a strange fact, a face you recognize, a headline you almost care about. Suddenly, the room is quieter, your original task is gone, and 40 minutes have disappeared. So what happened? Why can a movement as small as one swipe turn into a session you never actually chose? The usual answer is that your phone gives you dopamine, and you just need more self-control. But that explanation is too simple. The deeper problem is that your brain is built to search for valuable information, while infinite scroll removes something that search normally depends on, an ending. Your brain keeps waiting for the moment that says, "That was enough." The feed never has to give it to you. That is the first clue. Scrolling is not powerful because every post is rewarding. Most posts are forgettable. It is powerful because the next one might not be. Humans are unusually hungry for information. We check doors, faces, sounds, paths, conversations, and changes in the environment. Research on information seeking shows that people and other animals can value information about uncertain outcomes even when getting that information does not change the outcome itself. Knowing has value. Resolving uncertainty has value. Novelty can pull attention toward what has not yet been inspected. Long before a glowing screen existed, that tendency had practical consequences. Imagine a small group moving through unfamiliar ground at the edge of daylight. One person notices disturbed leaves beside a path. It could mean nothing. It could mean an animal passed recently. A little farther ahead, there are fresh tracks. Now the group has a choice. Keep moving, investigate, change direction, or stop. Information is not decoration here. It can affect food, danger, time, and where everyone sleeps that night. But notice something important about this ancient search. It has friction. Looking costs time and energy. The landscape has boundaries. The trail eventually fades. The sun goes down. The group reaches a ridge, a river, a camp, or a decision. The search produces stopping points. Your nervous system developed in worlds full of these constraints. Modern feeds are different. They can offer novelty without requiring travel, effort, or even a clear decision to continue. One thumb movement replaces the walk to the next hill. Another replaces opening the next container, following the next track, or asking the next person. And unlike a trail, a feed does not need to end. This matters because attention is often described using a foraging idea. An animal searching for food must decide whether to keep exploiting the current patch or leave for another one. Humans make similar trade-offs with information. Do I keep reading this page, inspect another result, open another tab, or stop searching? Normally, the environment helps answer. A chapter ends. A newspaper has a last page. A movie has credits. A store aisle runs out. A conversation pauses. Even a search results page used to confront you with a visible bottom and a deliberate next step. These are not dramatic barriers. They are tiny moments in which continuing becomes a new decision. Infinite scroll changes the structure. The next item arrives before you need to decide whether to ask for it. There is no empty space saying the patch is over. No page turn, no final card, no natural pause long enough to make your original intention visible again. The cost of continuing approaches zero, while the possible value of the next item remains uncertain. That combination is unusually sticky. This is also why the bad posts do not necessarily make you stop. Imagine a slot machine that produced exactly the same boring result every time. You would learn quickly, but a feed is a mixed environment. One post is useless. The next is mildly interesting. Then something is genuinely funny. Then nothing. Then a message from someone you care about. Then an idea that feels made for you. The sequence is unpredictable. Your brain cannot simply conclude, there is nothing here, because the evidence keeps changing. Research on reward uncertainty and information seeking shows that uncertain outcomes can increase attention and motivate further checking. The important point is not that every swipe gives a reward, it is that every swipe renews a question. What is next? That question is cheap to ask and occasionally pays off. Now add personalization. A modern feed is not a random pile of information. It learns from what you watch. Skip, replay, pause on, like, hide, share, or return to, so the environment changes as you explore it. If a patch in nature became more tailored to your preferences every time you sampled it, leaving would become harder. The feed can keep testing what holds you. You are not simply consuming content. You're interacting with a system that constantly changes the next opportunity. This is where the self-control story becomes misleading. Self-control matters. People differ in habits, motives, stress, boredom, fear of missing out, and their ability to disengage. But if an environment removes stopping cues, makes continuation nearly effortless, and keeps uncertainty alive, then needing repeated acts of self-control is partly a design problem. You're asking one decision-making system to say no again and again while the interface keeps making yes almost automatic. Think about the difference between eating from a plate and eating from a conveyor belt that silently replaces every bite before you look down. The question is no longer only, do I want this? It becomes, when exactly should I interrupt a process that never declares itself finished? And this leads to the more important second payoff. Infinite scroll may keep you engaged, not because it gives your brain too much satisfaction, but because it gives your brain too little closure. That is a different mechanism. Satisfaction can end a behavior. Closure can end a search. Infinite feeds are very good at giving you small pieces of interest while withholding the feeling that the search is complete. You can feel bored and still scroll. You can feel tired and still scroll. You can even dislike what you're seeing and continue, because dislike is not the same as completion. The loop can persist after pleasure has faded. This helps explain the strange emotional state many people recognize after a long session. You're not exactly entertained anymore. You're not exactly searching for something specific. But stopping feels oddly premature, as if the next swipe could finally produce the thing that justifies the last 20 minutes. It is a moving finish line. And because each decision is tiny, the total cost stays hidden. You do not choose 40 minutes, you choose 2 more seconds, repeated hundreds of times. Time is accumulated through micro decisions that rarely feel large enough to trigger a serious internal debate. Then you look up and experience the cost all at once. So how do you fight a system with no ending? The most useful answer is not to become infinitely disciplined. It is to put endings back into the environment. Decide the boundary before the search begins. One specific task, 10 minutes. 5 items, 1 saved list, 1 deliberate check. A timer can work, but a physical rule can be even clearer. Phone stays standing on the desk, not in your hand. Feed only while sitting in one place. Stop when the current purpose is complete. The exact rule matters less than what it restores, a visible point where continuing must become a conscious choice again. You can also add friction. Move the most tempting feeds away from the first screen. Log out, use the browser version, turn off non-essential notifications, make the next check cost 1 extra step. These changes sound small because they are small. That is the point. Infinite scroll became powerful by removing tiny pieces of friction. You can reverse part of the effect by putting tiny pieces back. And there is one more useful reframe. The urge to check is not proof that you secretly want to spend the next hour scrolling. An urge is a request for information, novelty, relief, connection, or escape. The feed offers all of those possibilities in one place, but it does not guarantee that any of them will actually be satisfied before opening it. Naming the request can change the choice. Am I looking for a message? Am I bored? Am I avoiding something? Do I want to know what happened? Do I want contact with someone? A specific need has a possible endpoint. A vague need can be fed forever. So return to the first moment. You pick up your phone to check one thing, your thumb is ready to move again. The difference is that now the endless feed no longer looks like an endless supply of rewards. It looks like a search environment with the finish line removed. Your ancient wiring is doing what it has always done, asking whether the next piece of information might matter. The modern trick is that there is always a next piece. You do not have to beat your brain. You have to give the search an ending.